Fall Guys is a goofy physics-based battle royale game published by Devolver Digital and developed by Mediatonic. The game's been out for a bit over a month now, and unless you're living under a rock, you know it's insanely popular. Well, I jumped on the bandwagon a couple weeks back and have been grabbing and tumbling my way to the top. So is Fall Guys just a goofy fad for little babies, or is it actually one of the deepest, most complex BRs out there? I don't know. Let's find out. So Fall Guys is really interesting to me because at this point I have over 40 hours played, and during my time I found myself going through different stages of feelings about the game. The first stage I like to call finding your bean legs. When I first started playing Fall Guys, I really didn't like it. If you've seen any gameplay, you know it's like a mishmash of hectic game modes where up to 60 very fashionable beans compete to move on and hopefully take home the sweet, sweet crown at the end of it all. For the first hours, I was really struggling with just controlling my horribly uncoordinated bean. The controls are simple enough. You can run around, jump, dive, and grab onto someone else and try and push them straight into the slime. And in a vacuum, you might not even notice anything strange about your guy, but once you set him in a race with 59 other dudes trying to zerg their way through little gaps, you'll find yourself getting knocked over and flung all over the place all the time. And a lot of the time, it'll feel like you have no control over what's happening to your guy, and it can be so frustrating. And other times, some butthole will grab you, causing you to miss your jumps, or just straight up delete you from the server. And again, it feels unfair because the first thing you'll notice about the grab when you try is that it's absolutely terrible. It boggles the mind how some scum bean will grab you and push you like they're in the middle of an episode of serious roid rage, but then when you try, you might not even face whoever you latched onto, and most likely you'll end up getting yourself killed for your efforts. I mean, it's a confusing system, and even hours into playing, I was still asking my friend how exactly it worked, but I think the best you can ever do is have an approximate knowledge of what might happen if you grab someone, and then do some quick 5D math in your head to figure out your chances of killing yourself if you actually follow through with it. The other thing that's going to take a while is learning all the maps in the 20 map pool. When you first start the game, you're going to be at a disadvantage right away because you're just going to have to fumble through them until you've played them enough to know how they actually work. This is especially the case for maps like Seesaw, where everyone rushes their way across a map of ever-teetering seesaws with no care for what ludicrous angle the seas are sawing. Or another one that's always sure to flush out all the turds, Slime Climb. This one ended up being one of my favorite maps, but the first few times you play it, don't expect to even cross the finish line. It's a mad dash to the top of the hill with different obstacles on every level, while the slime slowly creeps up, claiming any slowpokes having a hard time. This map also has plenty of chokes where the most sadistic beans out there gather to bully everyone else. And again, it's tempting to let yourself sink to their level, but while you're still finding your bean legs, just don't do it. You will kill yourself. During your first hours, you'll also come to intimately know the second largest threat in the game, which is crippling lag and desync. Sometimes it's enough to make your blood boil when you're playing any game with tails, and you can't seem to grab anyone who's standing right next to you, but then you get your tail yanked from 10 feet back. The only thing worse than being in a tail tag map, though, is being put in any team tail tag, or really any team game for that matter. I've never seen such a capable bunch of beans turn into the dumbest group of drooling fools faster than when they get placed on your team. Simple tasks like jumping through hoops or pushing around balls seemingly become impossible tasks to comprehend, let alone perform. One of the worst offenders is fall ball, which splits the remaining competitors into two teams for a football match. Now, anyone that's played Rocket League knows exactly what seeing a ball on the field does to a person. They become like insects drawn to a light. Once they've seen the ball out on the field, they just have to touch it, even if they completely bone their team by doing it. Unfortunately, a lot of the issues you run into during the finding your bean leg stage aren't going to go away. But much like Matt Murdock learned to cope with his astoundingly blind eyes, you too will learn to live with getting knocked around, desync, and brain dead teammates, even if the frustration of those things cause is just barely kept beneath the surface. And I honestly think there's something deeper to be said about how such a casual, colorful, fun, goofy game is bringing out the worst, or maybe just the most competitive and cutthroat side in the people playing. Although, I might just be projecting, because I personally took a dark turn moving into the next stage of Fall Guys. Been there, done that. So after you've played enough of all the maps and have learned the ropes and the shortcuts, you start to get into patterns in all of them. So are you playing Whirligig again? Okay, you better bunny hop down the starting ramp and catapult yourself using the turny things, and then dive to squeak through the last gap on the fast middle path. It starts getting easier and easier to make it further into the rounds, and you'll start finding yourself in the finals more and more often. Sure, sometimes you get taken out by a mistake, or something out of your control like a wild bean on Jump Showdown who gets hit and happens to collide with you on their way out, but it starts to get more exciting because you aren't just in the maps trying to stay alive and move on anymore, you're starting to actually compete, and it's really, really fun. At this point, you can also start spending a bit of your energy messing around with other people on the courses. Like on Dizzy Heights, after getting pulled right before the jump for the 30th time, you're gonna remember every time you're running up the ramp with a bean within your reach. Someone does it to you, you do it to someone else, and hope they pay it forward. It's just the natural order of things. You might still get killed a bit trying to push people around, especially if you're trying on rollout where any mistake, like grabbing someone the wrong way because of desync, can send you through a gap. But for the most part, you can start pushing people around without being too worried. It's during this stage that you also start racking up your first wins, which is just amazing. The finals essentially comes down to this. If you get anything other than Hexagon or Jump Showdown, well, then you've already lost. Now, I knew that I was going to go on a rant sometime during this review, and it seems the time has come. So the developers in their infinite wisdom put in these god-awful maps which feel like a complete joke and leave you feeling so unsatisfied and disappointed. The first is Royal Fumble, which is a tail tag for the finals. Just like the other two tail tag maps, this one's plagued by horrible lag that just feels unfair. You'll manage to grab the tail from someone, and for a single golden moment, you'll feel excitement. Like you're in control now and it's finally your time in the sun. In fact, the crown is so close now you can almost taste it. Oh, but no. It was just a trick and the moment's over. The new leader slips through your dumb hands which grab where this guy was 300 ms ago. And you remember that you're just a loser beam that dreamed it could be a winner. My friend Jacob had a great idea on how to make this a better map. He suggested instead to have it play like some sort of musical chairs with the last person without a tail getting booted after some time, then the leftovers continue on. And sure, there might be some problems when it's a 1v1, but the idea feels way more exciting than what we get in Royal Fumble. And honestly, I think having non-elimination based finals is just stupid because a lot of the time it doesn't feel like you have a fair chance. And that brings me to the other terrible finals map, Fall Mountain. I mean, this thing is so awful, it makes my heart sink every time I see it come up. It's a super short run up a hill to grab a crown at the top. And there's some obstacles along the way, and if your guy gets hit or even stumbles, you know, like these guys constantly do for no reason, you've lost. No question about it, you've already lost. In fact, if you're cursed with a bad spawn, you also lost. Second row is already pretty bad, but if you find yourself in the third row, you might as well not even try. It's already over for you before it began. It's also just so weird considering they have longer and harder maps in the game, like Slime Climb. And for a final map, this should be the longest and also extremely difficult. So why is it a literal straight run to the top with random elements coming down just to make sure that this map has nothing to do with skill? Again, thinking back to Slime Climb, there are shortcuts you can take throughout the entire map which get you to the front of the bean wave, and some of them, like the hammer jump, even take a bit of skill to do. So why is none of that present in Fall Mountain? There's also this really interesting time warp mechanic at the top of the mountain, where it shows you an alternate timeline where you're in the lead and going to grab the crown first. But then the guy so far behind you ends up taking it home. Oh, what? Oh, sorry. I guess that's just horrible sentient lag, which has learned the best way to crush a human spirit. And I hate to be on the side of sensationalized headlines, but I honestly think Fall Guys would be better off if both of these maps were removed from the pool. Even if they get replaced with just okay finals, it'd be better than these poop maps. It's also lame because Fall Guys seems to run on a weird map rotation with different map weights per day. So if you end up playing a lot any day, you end up seeing the same maps over and over. Like, one day I played Perfect Match, another big time stinker, followed by Fall Ball later on almost every time. It also doesn't help that some maps seem to have weird player count requirements to be picked. Like Jinxed. I literally only played this map twice in my entire time playing, which is just insane. I mean, it was such a weird experience loading into a new map after having played 15 hours of a game. All the system does is make the 20 maps available feel like a whole lot less. It can be really annoying to keep seeing your least favorite maps pop up all day. Anyways, coming back to Hexagon and Jump Showdown, these maps are where you really get to compete and actually use your abilities to get the win. Out of the two, I would easily say Hexagon is the better map. In fact, I think it's one of the best in the game. I love how this one's always different and constantly changing. It requires quick thinking and some strategy to actually win. Like, you have to think about how to react to other players in your area, when to run, when to hop, when to drop down, or if you end up falling accidentally, figure out the best way to set yourself up for the end game. It's just so fun and really exciting, especially since most of the wins come down to jumping around the last few hexagons around, watching the player counter, hoping that it ticks the last limb before you reach the end of your patch. And then Jump Showdown's alright. Not amazing, but like I said, I'm happy with anything you can win by being the better player. So after hovering in the been there done that stage for many hours, having a good time, I started getting more competitive with the game. I'd had a taste of victory and I wanted more, which led me to the third stage, at Bean's End. At a certain point, all the winning can start going to your head. It happened to me when I took a look at the Steam achievements and saw only 25% of people had won a single game and 4% had won 7 games or more. The next milestone staring me dead in the eyes was 20 wins, and I knew I needed it. Maybe to prove to someone out there that I'm worth something. Just maybe if I make it into the top 1% of Fall Guys, I'll finally earn the respect I've been longing for since I was a young boy. Now of course, the moment that triggers the switch will be different for you, but all of a sudden Fall Guys won't be about playing in goofy games competing to win. You'll be playing in goofy games feeling that you deserve to win. Every loss you'll explain away because someone else messed you up. It's never your fault. Fall Guys, which started as a funny casual game, has become just as competitive in your mind as some of the top esport games. You can start going on autopilot during all the race maps and know how to easily shuffle your way across tiptoe while tile checkers you push around fall into the sky below. It's really during this stage when winning becomes important over fun that the game becomes less fun. By the time I got to 20 wins, I was already 30 hours in and ready to be done. But there's good news. Fall Guys also contains a completely free battle pass you level up from playing, and through it you get new colors, patterns, top and bottom costume pieces, and it's a really nice addition. You level faster by placing higher in the races, or by winning the game. It took me another 10 hours to finally reach the end of it, and after my very last game where I hit 40, I closed it. Perfectly content to never open it again until new maps come out for Season 2. As you see, Fall Guys, like a lot of other games, runs on seasons where each new free season has a theme and will add a number of new maps to the game. I'm not exactly sure how many, and if these maps will replace any in the existing pool or just be added to the pool. But I think it's a really cool move from the developers. There's also a small shop where you can buy whatever's on sale for the day with kudos, which is a currency that you earn just from playing the game. You can buy packs of kudos for real money if you want, but I could easily afford everything in the store each day just by playing a very light and sustainable 8 hours a day over the weekend. And I really love the addition of all this stuff because it just gives the game so much flavor. I love how many options you have to customize your bean to exactly what you want. For me, it wasn't until the last hours of my playing that I found the perfect costume for myself. It's a can of banana water, which also looks like an old banana that has started to turn brown. And maybe you're wondering why I've told you that. Well, my wife got tired of me trying to explain why it's so clever after a few hours, and now I've passed the knowledge to you. So let me know in the comments if you understand the genius of it, and if not, I understand. It's quite highbrow. Now there is one thing I haven't mentioned yet, one issue that's present throughout all the stages. So Fall Guys has one of the worst, if not the worst, cheating problems I've personally seen in any game. I've seen less people spin-botting in all my time playing CS since the early 2000s than I have people flying around in Fall Guys. It feels like there's at least one in every 5 matches, and there's no point in even trying if you see a cheater. You'll almost never win unless you play fall ball against him. In 2 different games, there was a cheater flying around so fast they couldn't control their movements and yet also refused to slow down just to hit the ball. I've got to say, watching this guy buzz around completely failing while his goal gets dunked on over and over is maybe the best thing I saw in all my time playing. But that's an outlier. Beyond those fools, they're unbeatable. They move a million times faster and can float forever, so there are no games you'll ever beat them at. And I understand it's a pretty new game, exploits come out, but it's been a big problem in the weeks I've been playing, and I don't see any changes. There's no report system, and names have been disabled because clients could inject HTML, so it seems like if you see a cheater, you have to make a thread on Steam and report them using their in-game Fall Guys client ID. And none of that makes me feel good about the issue. It's really lame because it really hurts the experience to see so many people cheating. It makes it seem like the game's security is an absolute joke. I'm sure they're working on it, but I really just want to make it clear how big of an issue it really is. Because some people say they don't see that many, and that people are blowing it out of proportion, but I happen to have a buttload of footage of these treacherous beans to show that it is most certainly not. And that's it. Now that I've played enough Fall Guys for a lifetime, I finally find myself moving into the final stage. Ashes to ashes, bean to bean. I look back on my time with Fall Guys very fondly, and even if I'm not ready for more at this moment, I'm 100% certain that I haven't played my last game, and probably haven't won my last crown either. I'm excited to come back for Season 2 and see all the new stuff, and maybe I'll never complete another Battle Pass, but I know I'll have a good time anytime I launch it. To me, Fall Guys feels like a very special game with a lot of heart that'll make you laugh more than just about any other. If you have friends to play it with, it's even better. If you're willing to push past the awkward first stage, there's so much fun to be had here. I can't recommend this one enough. It's only $20, and I don't really think there's anything else to say. For my final score, I'm going to go ahead and give this one 20 golden crowns.